Hi, everybody. I'm Emily Sanderson, the Director of Studies at Flint Hill School. So I'm going to present a presentation to you to give you a little bit of an overview about how we approach integrating neuroscience and learning at Flint Hill School. So I love this picture because it shows us this overhead view, which really connects with this idea of metacognition, learning how to learn. This has been something that's been a part of Flint Hill culture for over 30 years. It goes back to the reorganization of Flint Hill in the early 1990s and a deep commitment to building these student and faculty relationships where faculty get to know the students and their learning modalities, their preferences, their weaknesses, so that we can work to challenge them at each next level, so that Flint Hill students really grow to be inquiring leaders with a deep commitment to scholarship and application of learning. So this metacognition in terms of neuroscience is just this connection about understanding more about how the brain works. And in the last 20 years, we've seen a real growth in science and neuroscience to understand how learning happens in the brain. And then our teachers are really committed to this idea of learning more about how students and how people learn and how that can be put into the classroom. Our Flint Hill faculty do a number of professional development programs, and one of the benefits of that is that we have a lot of faculty who go to the Learning in the Brain conference. We have faculty who are going to a number of other regional and national professional development, and they're really right on the cutting edge of understanding what the science is and how that might look in the learning for our students. And here, I've included a photo of a student, a teacher, Lola McRae, and a student in her middle school class. And you'll notice that they're standing up, even just that one piece, that benefit of knowing the value of how the whole body works together and how that can help fire up different parts of the brain and thinking, I thought was really nicely represented here. Another element of neuroscience, this might be one of my favorite really, is the work of Dr. Imardino Yang. Her research studies memory and the affective parts of the brain and how our brains really take in and where they store those memories. And this connects to our commitment at Flint Hill to deep scholarship. And so I'm always sort of interested in thinking about our brain on curiosity, or how we can use curiosity and keep students in this moment of openness, of perhaps joy or playfulness. And the research from Dr. Imardino Yang says that when she does MRIs of patients and she's looking at cognitive function, the part of the brain that fires when you're storing like a deep memory is connected to emotions. And so our teachers, in understanding that, often use the affective in addition to other strategies and pedagogies and instructional methods as a way to make sure that our students are feeling positive emotions and the impact that has on deep learning and in long-term retention. And those are important elements for scholarship. So I love this idea of how can you keep your student or your child in this realm of curiosity, because those are the things that are going to be deeply stored and will likely lead to deep scholarship and really rich and engaging and dynamic learning projects. So one story I would tell you about this is our Latin Collegiate seminar. This is an upper level course. Our Latin students and our Latin teacher in this way, they actually co-create the syllabus. So 2 years ago, we had a number of students who were really interested in Latin poetry. And they asked the teacher if they could take the whole year and find additional poems to add to the curriculum and create a textbook. And so what you see on the screen here is a little bit of a textbook that they created. They found the Latin poetry. They created the annotations. They found the vocabulary exercises, and they were able to then share it with the Latin 3 classes. You know, this is a great example of students having a passion, a project with an authentic audience, their peers in Latin 3. So it had this real purposeful, and the choice of being able to work with their teacher to co-create the syllabus. All of that really speaks to the slide before around curiosity and the affective and emotional connection with deep learning. Another kind of recent example from Flint Hill is a 4th grade class who has just been researching abolitionists, and they created a book, an iBook, for to educate other 4th graders around the Commonwealth about the history of abolitionists. And so their ability to leverage some of the things they're good at. Students who might be good at art were part of the project for illustration, the research that went into it, the vocabulary work to tease out for that, and then the ability to share it more broadly. For that 4th grade class has really created a lot of positive emotional connections to this work, both through the scholarship and in the sharing, and with the purposeful work. And that kind of that ties back to what we know about the power of positive emotions to promote deep learning. And then the last thing I thought I'd tease out is the role of stress in learning. And stress is kind of interesting. John Thomas, our headmaster, often shares that there is a just right amount of stress, and that's the part that can help propel a student forward. You know, not enough stress can actually be as damaging for students as too much stress. So that's one component. We're always focusing with students on that just right next step. And so as you engage with us more, you may hear more about the next step of challenge or how we're going to stretch your child, just the right amount or just the right step so that they can make significant forward progress and momentum in their educational journey. This slide also has a graphic that's talking about flipping your lid. It's a little bit about the impact of all the different parts of the brain. And this is an area where Flint Hill, for about 5 years now, has been incorporating mindfulness in the classroom and teaching students about how their brain works. And especially that when there's too much stress, that your prefrontal cortex, the thinking part of your brain, is separated from your amygdala, and how the amygdala, which is the part that manages your freeze, flight, and fright stages, and so how they need to all work together. So we started to notice that students had needed some support in this area, and maybe even just needed instruction. And that awareness that they bring to their learning is an area where this is natural, this happens sometime. And then being able to be aware of it and bring yourself back and center yourself so you can move on through your learning is a very important skill and is one that we regularly incorporate in the classroom and in our morning meetings and advisories and other elements of programming that we have. This is probably one of the more important elements of learning, especially in the times that we're living in, so that you can raise that awareness. Connected to the idea of awareness is also our deep commitment to reflection in learning, that often we want students to be reflecting on their learning, tied into that idea of metacognition. The learning's actually happening in the moment when you're engaging with the awareness or the reflection. And so that's an element that, as you hear us talk more about curriculum at Flint Hill, we want you to be solving your math problems, and we also want you to be thinking about how you're solving your math problems. That's what develops that deep conceptual learning, and that allows for deep scholarship and for students to really go forth and take meaningful risks, make a difference, and live our vision for Flint Hill. Thank you.